You've got your process, you've got the priorities, you've made decisions, you've got the right people involved, you've looked at what resources need to happen, and now you're going to act on that. And then once you act, this is why it's called a loop, you act, and then you go right back. Did this work? Now we're back in observation. Did this work? What impact did it make with my family? What impact did it make with my business? What impact did it make with my health? And you go through the process again. The OODA loop. It's powerful. Kipp, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Glad we could do this Monday morning. Very excited after a long, productive weekend. Maybe not that long, but definitely productive to get back to things. So good to see you, man.
Yeah. Got to buckle down last weekend, right? Because we have holiday weekend coming up. You have plans for Labor Day?
I do, yeah. Fake holidays are always interesting to me. This is one I consider a fake holiday.
That's why I brought it up.
People about this. Yeah. I actually am going to be taking Labor Day as if that should be a holiday off this year. My girlfriend's coming down with her kids, so we're going to spend the weekend together with my kids, her kids. There's a big local fair where I am and parade and all the things, so we're going to do that. And then I'm going to take Monday off for Labor Day. And by the way, fake holidays, let me just explain what that means. Government holidays, that's what that means to me.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. Now, I know a lot of other holidays are now recognized by the government. That's not what I'm saying. The birth of Christ is not a fake holiday. The resurrection of Christ is not a fake holiday. Thanksgiving, that's a quasi-fake holiday, but I honor that one. But you get into Labor Day, even Memorial Day, and I can say that as a veteran. I'm allowed to say that. Not very many people are, but I'm allowed to. I don't need to take the day off for that stuff. For me, I'm thinking, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go to work just like I would any other day and
labor.
honor the workforce on Memorial Day, honor those veterans who have fallen for us, and just get to work. But maybe I'm getting a little looser in my old age as well. I don't know. We'll see.
I love it, man. So you got a hot topic just to trigger everybody. What do you got for our headline today?
Man, if I say these two words, people are going to lose their minds, apparently.
So you're going to say them.
I'm going to say them. I'm definitely going to say them. And everybody's going to explode. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Cracker Barrel. What in the world? I mean, come on, guys. Like, we have bigger fish to fry. And maybe the fact that we're going to talk about it here for the next couple of minutes says that we're actually just as guilty as anybody else of falling into the trap of this. But let's be honest, I don't really care about what Cracker Barrel's logo looks like. If you want to go have some chicken fried steak, you want to eat some mashed potatoes and corn, a bunch of people say their French toast is really good. I would never go to a restaurant and order French toast. That seems weird. But yeah, if you want to have a quasi home-cooked meal, go to Cracker Barrel, eat your corn, eat your chicken fried steak, and then go home and spend time with your family and live your life. I don't care what their logo looks like. I really don't. I have another thought on that, but I'd like to hear what you have to say about it.
I mean, I immediately go to the human condition of why do people do these kind of things, you know? And it goes back to a conversation I had with my brother actually last week. We were talking about family members, and I was like, hey, give me some updates on some family members. He's giving me an update. And one of my questions to him was, so are they about something? Are they doing something? Are they getting after it in some way? Because if they don't, you create all kinds of drama in life. The human condition is that if you're not getting after it, if you're not about something bigger than oneself, you will create problems. And when I hear about this, that's all I think about is people grabbing for problems. Why? Because they're not choosing theirs and they're not choosing wisely.
I heard once that, and I think I actually made a post on Instagram about this, that your job is to choose better problems. That's it. I think it was in reference to Cracker Barrel. Choose better problems. Go solve world hunger. Go clean up trash in your local community. Go coach your youth, your children's youth football team. Like, you got better problems to worry about than what Cracker Barrel's doing. And by the way, when you do these things, all this other little nonsense, it goes away because it's not the attention seeking that these organizations desire. When I made that post, I said, give it a week and Cracker Barrel stock will be up. And everybody's like, it's down 40%. I said, give it a week. Read the text, bro. Like, read the caption first and then comment. Read. Give it a week. Okay, maybe slightly more, slightly less. It's fine. Cracker Barrel's going to be fine. I promise. There's enough old people to go around who are going to continue to support Cracker Barrel because they can't even see the logo, let alone acknowledge what it is or what it looks like. So it's not that big a deal. But I will say, okay, there is one thing though, and this is an interesting argument, is that all the social institutions are being dismantled. I hear that. Like, well, Cracker Barrel is hardly the social institution that I think you're talking about. But let's just say for the sake of argument, it is. Sure, yeah. I don't know what the difference was between the old one and the new one besides the guy in the barrel. I don't even know if that was supposed to signify something. I don't know if people think that's racist or not racist. I'm sure it has something to do with that, or misogynistic. I don't know. I don't know what the argument is, other than it just looks kind of dumb. So just sometimes it's okay to leave things alone. And I think that's the problem that we get into if we're looking at it from a bigger picture, not just the Cracker Barrel thing, is that we oftentimes mistake action for prudence. We think that if we're doing something, that somehow it's automatically going to be better. I saw this all the time in my financial planning practice. People would come in a down market or an up market, and they'd say, let's rebalance, let's change, let's buy, let's sell. I'm like, hey, hold on a second. Action doesn't automatically equate to being prudent. Sometimes the best thing you can do is the thing you're already doing. If you already have it locked in, keep it locked in. If, guys, you're overweight and maybe you've cut out processed sugars and you're exercising and you're being healthier and you lost a pound or two last week, it's working. Do it again. The problem with so many humans, myself included, is that we always want novelty. We always want what's new, what's better, what's greater, what's faster, what's bigger, what's more efficient, what's more productive, what's more beautiful, what's more exciting. Instead of just saying, you know what, this seems to be working, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Now, that's not an excuse to be oblivious to whatever else might happen or changes in research and technology and information, but it is a little bit of a wake-up call for you to acknowledge that what you're doing might actually be working and just let it process. We want everything right now, and I think this is part of the instant gratification society that we live in, that we want it now. If I don't lose 50 pounds this week, it must not be working. 50 pounds, bro, it took you 10 years to become 50 pounds overweight. It's probably going to take a little while to lose the weight. So let's be patient. Let's relax. Let's focus on what's important for us and never mistake action for prudence. Maybe sometimes the best thing is exactly the way it currently is.
Yeah. I mean, there's a cost to change. I was actually talking with our CEO about this last week, and I wish I had the statistics in front of me. But more or less, he talks about there's a 20% reduction in change always. So if the change isn't going to improve things by 40%, you don't do it. 40%.
Interesting. 40 is huge.
Huge, which pretty much means all change you probably shouldn't be doing, which is wild to me, right? And then you bring up novelty, and it's like, okay, well, how much of novelty is like, it's novelty for me, like I'm excited about it because it's novelty for me, but for all the people affected, guess what that is? That's just change.
Change.
Unnecessary change. Risk. They're not excited about it. You are, because it's your decision. But everyone else, they have other things that they're dealing with, and your change is net negative.
Threat. It's a threat to them.
It's wild when you start thinking about things like that.
Yeah, I didn't know it was 40%, but it's hard because so many. Here's what I would say. Unless you're hitting your benchmarks at 80+% consistently, let's call it 90 days.
Yeah.
Don't worry about anything else. That's what I would say. Give it
Yeah.
90 days as a general rule of thumb. I know there's going to be exceptions and different nuances to it, but as a general rule of thumb, let's just say if you're on a regiment for working out, just give it 90 days. If you haven't done 80% for 90 days, don't change. You're not there yet.
Yeah.
If it's nutrition, a diet change, do it at least 80% for 90 days. If you do it for 90 days and you do 90% and you're not seeing results, it's time to question.
Yeah.
If in business you initiate a new thing, again, I know there's exceptions, I know there's nuance to this, and you do it 80+% for 90 days and you're seeing no change, you might start questioning what you're doing.
Yeah. And here's
But
the
outside
key.
of that, just get to 80%, I think.
Yeah, and I think the key is to 80%, right?
Right.
We're like, oh, we'll implement this change, and then we'll half-ass implement a change.
Right.
Don't follow through, not really follow it completely in, and then it putters out, and we're like, yeah, it didn't really work. It's like, well, you kept eating donuts, right? Of course it didn't work. You actually didn't implement the change. Not really.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I ate
But
less
we implement
calories, but
half-assed.
all of the calories I consumed were all donuts and bonbons and Snickers. I don't know what the problem is. Gee, I wonder.
Yeah. There must be
All
an
right.
easier way. Yeah.
Yeah. Wild stuff, man. But I say hit the 80 before you start changing things.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into some questions today. I know we have some from the Iron Council. I know we probably have some from Facebook if we get to them. I did see a post in Facebook today. This was not specifically related to my request for questions for this podcast, but I think it's worthy of addressing. And I'm paraphrasing. I don't even know the gentleman's name. He didn't ask to be talked about on this podcast, so I'm not even going to mention it. But he had talked about his son. I think it's his son. And his son is facing a bully and has been bullied, it sounds like, about 3 times in relatively serious situations. If he can name the times that he's being bullied, then
Yeah,
that would be
serious enough. How
that's
old?
a serious thing. That I don't know.
Okay.
And his general question was, how do I help my kid navigate a bully? And I thought it's worthy of discussion. We're getting back into the school year. We just started here in southern Utah. I think you started last week maybe in northern Utah.
Yeah.
I'm sure people across the country have already started or are starting in the next several weeks. So the question is, how do you help your child confront and deal with a bully? You have any thoughts on this, Kipp? And then I'll give mine as well.
Of course, I have thoughts. You want me to go first, though?
Of course.
You know, I find this interesting.
You're the martial artist. Of course I want
Yeah.
you to go first.
Let me first say this. By full disclosure, I was raised most of my life being bullied. I remember the first time I got in a fight. My fight probably started happening for me maybe in 3rd grade. We moved a lot all the way up until high school, and I got in fights all the time. All the time. Every single school I moved to, I'd have to get in a fight. And most of the time, I got my butt kicked. I would get destroyed. Like totally destroyed.
Sounds
Like,
about right.
yeah, just battered up, walking home. I just leave school all bloody, you know what I mean? And I'm wiping up my face so my parents don't know, right? And then go back to school.
Why
I mean,
didn't you want your
that's-
parents to know?
Because I knew my parents would swoop in and like make matters worse for me.
Okay. For you.
So yeah, because I felt like they would get parents involved. You know what I mean? Then I'd have this kid even more mad at me because their parent, like it wouldn't, I didn't believe at the time that it would help the circumstance. I felt like it would make it worse. So with that all said, there's a level of bulliness that has to do with our confidence level. It's fascinating to me that when kids have confidence in having self-defense, they get in less fights and they get bullied less. Not because they use the skill, because of their confidence in their skill. So I think there's 2 things you have to be looking at when we talk about bullies, is where your kid's mental confidence, where their confidence is with oneself and their confidence in their ability to defend themselves, and the physical ability to defend themselves. It's twofold. And what's beautiful about most martial arts, especially jiu-jitsu, is that those kids that learn jiu-jitsu, not only do they learn to defend themselves in most cases, they learn to have a level of confidence where they diffuse the bullying by the way they show up in it.
Yeah.
Nothing invites a bully more than you being a coward to them. That's why they bully you, because they know they can. And a lot of it has to do with how we react to the bully, and that is what perpetuates the bullying or not. So that's just my take on it. Like, get your kid into martial arts, get them into jiu-jitsu. Two things will happen. If they need to defend themselves, they will be able to. But most importantly is they will build some confidence, and they will feel, let me say it this way, they will come into the realization of what it's like to be in it, to battle with someone trying to hurt you, and realize even then it's okay. It's okay to be in a physical confrontation with someone. It's all going to be okay, and you can walk away from it. And now the bullying doesn't mean all this other stuff that it often means.
Yeah. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with that. One of the things I thought about as I saw this post is that, and I don't know, it'd be interesting to find statistics or data or information on this, but I imagine those who are well-trained at their age, children well-trained in martial arts, are less likely to get into confrontations. I would assume that's the case.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've already read these statistics before.
You have?
We can
Okay.
probably find some. Yeah, absolutely. There's major correlation between kids that do martial arts and how often they get in physical confrontations with other kids. It's
and
drastically
you know,
drops.
My kids, every once in a while, they'll make fun of me. They'll laugh at me. They're like, "Dad, why do you walk like that in public?" And I'm like, what do you mean?
Walk like what?
Walk like what? And they say I walk like a Neanderthal. Like my shoulders get big and my arms
Flared
get
out
wide.
the
And I'm like, don't fuck with me. And they always kind of laugh at me about it. I'm like, well, maybe I do that instinctively.
Yeah.
Maybe I do that on purpose.
It's a form of posturing.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was kind of interesting. Well, so I agree with everything you said. I wrote down a couple of things, and I'm going to invoke some characters, some fictional characters here.
Yeah.
But I invoked these individuals because I think it gives us a little bit different way to look at this, because this is a question that's been asked as long as man's been on the planet, right? How do you de-escalate a situation? How do you keep people from messing with you? How do you keep from that warring tribe from attacking you? So here's a couple things. Some of them are going to be a little controversial, but I want you to think about this differently. Okay, so I'm going to invoke Jordan Peterson, I'm going to invoke Johnny Lawrence, and I'm going to invoke Jiminy Cricket when I talk about this, okay? So let's do Jordan Peterson first. I wrote this down. Don't let your children be weird. And I know that's going to be controversial, but don't let your child be a weirdo, okay? If your child is a weirdo, there's peer pressure, there's things that happen. And when I say weird, I'm talking about antisocial behavior.
Yeah.
Now, barring some sort of medical condition, mental illness, you don't have to let your kid be weird. And I'm not saying your child always has to fit in. In fact, I would say that it's a good idea to have them have some fringes and some edges that are unique. But if your children are antisocial, then they're going to face more issues. And little things that you can do on a daily basis. If you go to a restaurant, why are you ordering your kids' food? Unless they're 2. If they're 3, 4, 5 years old and they can formulate words, noises into coherent words, then they should be ordering their own food. Why are you robbing them of the opportunity to engage with other people in a healthy and respectful way? If you meet somebody, you're going to introduce that person to your child, and that child is going to say, "Hello, I'm so-and-so," and they're going to extend their hand, and they're going to reach out, and they're going to shake their hand. Teach your children to be assertive. Teach them not to be worried about people. Teach them how to communicate. Teach them how to articulate who they are. Teach them how to share what's important to them, to share ideas, to have conflicting ideas. Don't let your children be antisocial. And the reason I am invoking Jordan Peterson on this one, I think is one of his rules, is don't let your children do anything that would make you hate them or not like them.
Yeah, because you'll lash out. Yeah, he talks about how you'll lash out as a parent outside of the circumstance.
So will other people.
Because, yeah, totally. Yep.
And I'm going to say something really controversial, but I think it's true. Ugly kids and weird kids get picked on more than non-weird kids and attractive people. And we know that even as you become adults. If I take 2 job applicants for a position with Order of Man, and one's an attractive, fit-looking man, and the other one kind of looks like a slob, and he's not well-groomed, I'm going to pick, all things being equal, I'm going to pick the attractive, well-groomed, fit individual because it says something about a person.
Yeah.
So that's number 1. Number 2, Johnny Lawrence Cobra Kai. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. Those are the rules. We know the rules.
I love that. That's
when the
funny.
situation comes, and I've seen, I watch fights on social media. Like, if somebody gets in my space, I'm not going to wait for them to hit me. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
If they're in my space and they're threatening me, I'm going to strike first. And when I strike, I'm going to strike to hurt, to incapacitate. I want you incapacitated. I need to neutralize the threat. And no mercy means, you know what? Until you're neutralized, you're still a threat to me.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's on school grounds. I don't care if it's in public. I don't care if it's in the bar. Not for your kids, obviously. For you. I don't care where it is. Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, because it's only one shot away, right? If that guy gets to swing on you first and it's a connected shot, you're done. So there is no like, well, you know, I'll give him a fair shake first. It's like, no, the fair shake is your unconscious face down in the concrete. That's what happens when you don't go first.
The fair shake that individual had was to leave you alone. Yeah. And they didn't. So now it's not a fair fight. And I'll stack the deck in my favor all day long. If somebody breaks into my house, I'm not shooting them in the kneecap. I'm gonna try to put 2 in their heart as quickly as I possibly can. That is my goal. If it's come to that point, strike first, strike hard, no mercy. All right, and then the third one is Jiminy Cricket. You have to be your kid's biggest voice. All right? I've had my children who are like, oh, you know what? I'll get in trouble if I stand up for myself at school. The hell you will.
Yeah, who gives a shit what they think? Yeah.
You'll get grounded. You'll get suspended from school.
Suspended, yeah.
Detention, suspension, restitution. And then you're going to come home and you're going to be a hero.
Yeah.
Like the family is going to carry you on our shoulders and run you around the house like you're Rudy. If you're standing up for yourself and you beat a bully down, or you stand up for another kid who can't protect themselves, I'm going to take you out for a dinner, a steak dinner. I'm going to take you out for ice cream, and then I'm going to take work off, and we're taking the next 3 days, and we're celebrating you. And my voice needs to be the loudest voice in my children's ear because they've got their teachers, and they've got the principal, and they've got other little kids who don't know what they're talking about and what their people are teaching them. My voice is the most important one. Unless I know my children, I'm building trust and rapport and credibility, reaching out to them, connecting with them, being interested in the things they're interested in, having discipline and connection, my voice is just not going to be the loudest. So I deviated from the standard advice that we get, but I think these things are very, very important when it comes to dealing with bullies.
Yeah, I love it. Jordan Peterson, Johnny Lawrence, Jiminy Cricket.
That's right.
Done.
That's right.
I love it. Oh, and just to illustrate your point, I mean, that's happened already. Like that's happened to us, right? One of my older sons, Kiave, I remember elementary school, kids got in a fight. He jumped in to protect this kid. And he was 6 at the time. I think he said, Dad, I jiu-jitsu'd him, right? Like he just mounted this kid and like controlled him. You know, he got suspended. He got in trouble. But we're like, ice cream tonight, dude, you did the right thing. I don't give a crap about what teacher said. You did great. Yep. Good job, right? And we had to celebrate it and fight against this idea that he was involved. So by default, right, he was in trouble. And he didn't even instigate a damn thing.
Yeah. And you be honest. You say, yeah, you were involved. Yeah, you got yourself involved for the right reason. Yeah. And we honor you. We celebrate you as a member of this family. And you know what? That other kid that you jumped in for, would do the same. He'd honor you as well.
Yeah, totally. All right.
What's next?
All right. Some questions from the Foundry. Chris Henningsen. How did you or did you keep the new relationship with your girlfriend from moving forward too fast? I find myself falling for her more each time when I'm with her and wanting to jump in more into her life, but I'm also not wanting to push things too far too fast. Here's the key here. She is not very confrontational, and I'm worried that she won't tell me if she's uncomfortable with how things are moving along.
That's tough. Well, I think the first thing you need to do is establish clear boundaries on how often you want to spend time with her. Maybe that's 3 times a week. Maybe it's every night. I don't know what your dynamic is, but you communicate how often you would like to spend time. And I would also say when we're spending time together, here's what I would like to do. Quite honestly, she might not be that confrontational. She might actually just be looking for direction in her life. I found that a lot of women love men who step up and actually lead in productive and healthy ways. And so if you say, hey, babe, I'd like to spend 4 days a week together in the evenings when work is done, and I'd like to have Sunday reserved for you and me together. Does that work for you? And she says yes or no. And then I would just make the assumption that if she says yes, she's a grown woman, that if she says yes, then it's a yes. And just act that way until it isn't. And maybe she does get tired of it, or maybe it doesn't work for her. And so in that case, what I would say is be open and receptive to what she has to share. I did a great podcast with Adam Lane Smith, and he talked about this concept of the woman being the COO and a man being the CEO of a relationship. Did you hear that one, Kipp?
No, I'm intrigued.
So, yeah.
Is this
so
last
what he
week?
said is, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And what he said is he's an attachment specialist. He's a therapist. He does a lot of great work. He's been on the podcast before. But what he said is generally it's the woman's job to be the COO, meaning that she's going to come to you and say, hey, this is not working. This is wrong. This doesn't work. This doesn't fit. This is a problem. And then the CEO's job is to say, okay, well, why is that a problem? What do we need to do to fix it? How big of a priority? If we don't fix it, what's going to be the issue from there? And then the CEO's job is to actually implement. So if she comes to you and says, hey, we're not spending enough time together, then it's your job to say, okay, she recognizes that as a woman, that it's a problem in the dynamic of the relationship. And so the CEO's job is to say, all right, well, let me look at my schedule. How can we build in more time? So if she ever comes to you and says, hey, this is a problem, and she won't say it like that probably. What she'll do is she'll say, man, I'm really tired. I don't have enough time for my own things. What that means is that you're spending too much undivided attention together. Or she might say, I really miss you every week. I don't see you enough. Or I just wish we had more time together. Okay, that's her problem. Her problem is you guys are not getting enough quality time together. Listen for it, pay attention to it, and as the CEO of the relationship, figure out a way to address it. That's your job.
Yeah.
Be very careful of taking things personally. I've seen a lot of guys who they'll say things like,
trying to manage her.
You don't need to manage it. You just need to make it happen. Listen, just listen and make it happen. Your job is to act. Your job is to get shit done. She'll tell you what needs to get done. You do it. And it's a beautiful symbiotic relationship because as men, I don't always see what needs to be done. Like I could walk down the road and sometimes I see some problems, but I'm not looking for every little thing that could be potentially wrong. But she's really good at that when it comes to a relationship. And so if this is a person you trust and honor and love, just say, oh, okay, we can do that. As long as it doesn't cross your boundaries, we can do that. And then you find a way to make it happen. But what I would say is be very aware with somebody who's not, you said non-confrontational, be very aware of how you address anything she ever says to you. Now, I'm not saying to walk on eggshells, but I am saying if she happens to this week come to you and say, hey, you know what? I was really frustrated last weekend. I really wanted to do these things, and you spent too much time hanging out watching TV, and I really would have loved to have done these things. Okay, let's just say she says that. And then you say, well, you know what? Like, you're always bothering me about that. You know, I'm tired. I had a long week, and I would like to just sit down and watch one ball game without being interrupted. And then I could do whatever. But in this time, it's mine. What did you essentially do? Essentially, you said to her, don't come to me with any of that bullshit. And then these are the same guys who will say, why doesn't my wife ever talk to me? Because every time, and I'm guilty of this in former relationships, every time you do, or she does, you blow up. She doesn't know what version of you she's getting. Is she getting the nice, kind, respectful, masculine, manly guy, or is she getting the immature child who's agitated, pissed off, drunk, whatever? Why would she come to you? Now, if she said this, let me paint a different scenario. She comes to you and says, you know, last weekend was hard for me. Like, I really wanted to go out and work in the yard together, and I had big plans, and I even talked to you about them throughout the week. And then the first thing you did on Saturday morning is we slept in, and then you watched the ball game, and by the time you were done, it was like 2 PM, and we didn't really have as much time as I would have liked to get this thing done. Now, listen to this instead. Hey, you know what? Babe, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that was that big of a priority to you, but I can see that it is. So next weekend, let's come up with a plan, because there is a big game that I would like to watch. It's important to me, and I would like to watch that. And it'll take about 2 hours of my time. It's at 1 o'clock next weekend. But what if we got up early and we had a list of 5 or 6 things that we needed to do to get done around the yard? And we did that, and I took a break for an hour or two, and then we came back out and we finished things up, and we finished the night off with grilling in the backyard because the yard looks so good. What do you think? You get what you want, which is to watch the game. She gets what she wants, which is to get the yard done and feel connected to you and feel like she is worth your time. And then you celebrate together, and I think everybody walks away in a much happier situation. And then also you encourage her to talk to you in the future about problems, because you're finally being a problem solver, not a problem creator.
Yeah. What advice would you give Chris, Ryan, if she's not even willing to communicate that last Saturday was an upset, and that she's just quiet constantly, never communicates, right? Because, like, I heard this, she's not very confrontational. Maybe said another way, she's not very open and honest about how she feels, which is a red flag for me, period. I'd be like...
It would be for me too.
Yeah, like, you know, any advice would you give Chris around getting her to speak up and be more communicative around how she's feeling about things where she may not at all?
There's a book that I'm reading right now with my girlfriend. It's called His Needs, Her Needs. And in that book, he outlines 10 really crucial things that every person needs out of a relationship. And openness and honesty is one of those things. And then you're to take those 10 things and list as a priority. So where hers might be affection, mine might be admiration, which is more synonymous with respect. So that's a little bit of a difference between her and I in our relationship. So I know that affection is really important, and she knows that admiration, again, respect, is important to me. And so we can cater our communication the way we work together based on that. Openness and honesty is one of those things. And so you have to ask yourself in a new relationship, is this somebody who's even capable of it?
Yeah.
Because if you're in if you're in an existing relationship, you have to work through it. If you're in a brand new relationship, you don't have to. But let's just, for the sake of argument, say that she's capable, she's willing, she has the capacity to do it, and you really have a good connection with her. What I would do is I would just ask her open-ended questions. Hey, babe, this weekend, I would do this tonight. This weekend, I feel a little bad, if I'm being honest. I feel like I kind of capitalized the weekend, and I spent 3 or 4 hours watching games, and man, the stuff around the house didn't get done. I know you asked me to mow the lawn. How do you feel about the weekend? That's the open-ended question. So acknowledgement, right? I acknowledge, I know. And then open-ended question. How do you feel about the weekend? And she might say something very passive because she's not confrontational. She'd be like, it was okay. Here's what you do. A little bit of press. I know you said it was okay. And I know that you are probably okay with dealing with it. But I'm feeling like it wasn't okay. I'm feeling that way. And so I imagine that you're probably feeling somewhat of that too. Was there anything in particular that really bothered you about the way I did or did not show up?
Yeah,
Another open-ended question.
You were lazy ass all weekend. The yard looks like shit.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you
but
didn't
isn't
get
that what he
anything
wants? But isn't that what he's asking for?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to get her there. And then when you get her there, because you're leading as a man, so then when you get her there, don't blow up. So she's like, yeah, you were lazy, you're a piece of shit, whatever. Say, well, you're wrong. This is stupid. Okay, you just undid all the great questions that you asked her. So she says, yeah, you were really lazy. I felt like I just had to do the yard work by myself, and I would have liked to have spent time together and made the house look nicer. And then your response is to say, you know what? Damn. You're right. I did tell you I was going to do that. Or I would have liked to have spent time with you. So another open-ended question. What can we do this week? Or actually, I wouldn't even give an open-ended question next because that's not leading. Yeah. Leading as a man action. Is, you know what? You're right. Here's what I propose. Tonight, I'm going to take off a half an hour early from work. I'm going to be home at 5 o'clock instead of 5:30 tonight. And when I get home, I'm going to come in. I'm going to give you a big hug. I'm going to give you a kiss. And the first thing I'm going to do is mow that lawn. And I'm going to get it looking pristine. Can you go get us some steaks for dinner tonight? And we'll throw those on the barbecue after the lawn is mowed. That's, I think, how a man would handle it.
Yeah, like it. Robbie Luffel, how do you make meals for kids when there's always one kid that hates it and won't eat it? I've got 3 kids, 11, 13, and 15, and there's always one dissenter, and it's so frustrating and defeating.
I don't care. They're kids. You're gonna eat it. I mean, what are you making, dog shit? Like, just eat the food. And I don't have time. I've got 4 kids. Like, I don't have time to be making separate meals. Just,
no way.
You're going to eat the food that I made you. If you don't like broccoli, then you're going to eat 2 instead of 4. I can negotiate with terrorists a little bit, sure. and then tomorrow, you get to pick. Hey, look, eat all your food tonight. I know it's not your favorite. It's not going to be. This is life. Tomorrow, you get to pick the meal.
Yeah, it's fuel. Well, I mean, and we constantly, like, our typical, in fact, this happened last night. It's like, I don't like this too much. I'm like, I looked at his bowl and I'm like, the broccoli and the chicken are non-negotiables.
Yeah.
The noodles, nah, those are carbs anyway. So if you don't like those, but the broccoli and the chicken, you got to eat. And we also have a rule, like, you have to try it. And then if they like, I really don't like it, you're like, that's fine. Breakfast is a little ways from now. So, if you want to intermittent fast until morning, that's okay too.
You can do that. That's your choice.
You can do that. Yeah. It's good.
I'm kind of...
Taste buds change all the time. So we force our kids to, like, constantly keep trying. You have to try. Otherwise, like, they won't know.
My kids don't like tomatoes. I like tomatoes. So if I make a salad for dinner, I'm going to put tomatoes in it because I like tomatoes. And you know what they could do? Pick the tomatoes out.
Yeah.
And that's because tomatoes are like, okay, so eat the carrots, eat the sprouts, eat the mushrooms, eat the whatever. But the tomatoes, it's fine. It's not a big deal. I don't really think this one's a really hard, like, you're going to eat it, you're going to like it, and you're going to be quiet about it. And then tomorrow you can pick the meal, and that's just how it works. And I would say there's maybe another issue here is, like, maybe there is an opportunity to teach some principles like sacrifice, like, hey, guess what? The world doesn't revolve around you. There's 6 of us at the dinner table right now. And so, yeah, we struck out on this one. And so what? Welcome to life. And so tomorrow you get to pick one that you like. And you know what? One of your siblings is probably not going to like it. And it just is what it is. Or I like what you said. we have a principle too, is like, you don't get to say you don't like it if you've never tried it.
Yeah.
So if I make something and you're like, oh, it looks gross, I'm like, it might look gross, but guess what? You're going to try it. They already know, because that's a hard and fast rule that we have, and they know it. I don't even have to fight them on it anymore. They're like, yeah. In fact, they'll police themselves. And they think it's funny because, you know, my youngest might have to try something he doesn't like and everybody else knows it's good. And they're like, haha, you have to eat it because we did too. It's just part of life.
Yeah, totally agree. All right, Mike Andorfer. Hypothetical scenario, you only have time to execute on one of your 4 battle plan tactics today. Which one and why? I already know your answer, I think, but.
You do?
Yeah. What's your non-negotiable out of the 4?
I mean, if I could only do one, I would say reach out to my kids every day.
You make me look bad. My non-negotiable is the physical. I'm like, no, that happens no matter what, because everything else.
But it's different. That's not but that's not a tactic.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
It's not one of my tactics. So we need a little context here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have our battle plan, and then there's tactics, and those tactics are in one of each of 4 quadrants. So calibration, mental, spiritual, emotional health; connection, relationships with kids; condition, physical health; and contribution, becoming a man of value. We don't put tactics on there. Tactics are things you do on a daily basis in order to achieve those objectives that you've identified. But we don't put things in there that you do. So like if it was...
It's the thing you're striving to start doing.
Right, the thing that you're trying to improve better on. Yeah. So if you asked me, did you brush your teeth today and did you put that down as a tactic? The answer is no, because I brush my teeth every day. So that's not really something I need to like work hard at. But making sure that I'm in contact with my kids in meaningful and significant ways when they're not with me, because I'm divorced. So when they're not with me, if they were with me every day, that would not be an issue. But they're with me half of the time. So when they're with their mom, I still want to communicate with them. And so I go out of my way to be able to do that. If you're going to ask me whether or not I should be physical today, now look, I woke up today and I didn't go to the gym. I didn't. But I am going to be contacting my kids. In fact, I've already reached out to 2 of them. And I've got plans for this evening that are physical in nature, even though it's not a workout. So that's why I made that decision. But it's the kids. Sorry you hate your kids, Kipp. I didn't know you liked jujitsu more than your kids. I would not have thought that about you.
Yeah, good thing you don't listen to this.
No, it's all just dependent on your own plan, and that's the beauty of the battle plan, is that it's reliant on you. What are you trying to accomplish? So for me, now if you're asking which of the quadrants is most important broadly, condition, the physical realm, of course, because that plays into everything else.
Sets the tone. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
All right, we kind of like a 1-2. I'm going to merge 2 questions together, if that's okay. So Justin Van Zon, his question is, could you walk us through the Order of Man funnel and how you were able to monetize your podcast audience? So that's question number 1. Question number 2 is from, I'm scrolling down here, Danny Skolnick. And he says, refresh our memories on how the IC came about, because I think these are kind of one and the same. How did it start? What was your initial vision of the IC and why? And also, and he has the secondary question of how did I get involved? Did we already know each other? But I think you can probably answer both those questions in one.
Well, I can answer the last part. How did you get involved? I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't know why or how I got Kipp involved. And now he's like a stray dog that you don't want to just dump somewhere. I don't know.
It'd be really awkward to get rid of him now.
So we just kind of keep around. We're like, dude, will you just do a Wednesday show with us, I guess?
Meanwhile, the whole family's like, why do we even have this dog? It's like, yeah, it'd be weird if we got rid of it.
Everybody hates him. We don't feed him. We don't take him for walks. He just shows up and wags his tail, and we're like, okay. We pet him every once in a while, and he's good to go.
That's so funny.
Well, so I'm going to try to condense this story. So I started Order of Man in 2015, and I found a lot of early success with the amount of tension that we were receiving. And so I realized I was onto something and I'm fast forwarding through a lot here, but I realized we were onto something. And I was running my financial planning practice at the time, and I realized that every single week I was taking more and more time and dedicating it to Order of Man instead of Sitica Financial, which was my financial planning practice. And my ex-wife said, hey, I love that you're doing this. You seem to be happy, but you're really taking away from family household income because you're not focusing on the financial planning practice as much as you were. And she was right, to her credit. And I was listening to a podcast, and I believe the gentleman's name is Pat Flynn. And it's funny, side note, I saw Pat Flynn on YouTube a couple of weeks ago, and because my kids were watching him. I'm like, that's Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn is instrumental in getting me into the podcasting world. And
does he know that?
Probably not. I've never talked with him. And I've tried to reach out to him. I've never talked to him. But I saw him, and they were watching him, and he runs a thriving, of all things, a thriving Pokemon YouTube channel. It's unbelievable. I'm like, that's Pat Flynn. He has a beard now, and he does Pokemon, but that's the guy who helped me get into the business. He doesn't even know it.
Did he even do Pokemon back in the day? What was he doing back in the day that influenced you, though?
He had a podcast course on how to start a podcast and how to grow a movement. That's what he was doing.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I was listening to a podcast that he was doing with a guest, and the guest said, the best thing you could do is do a 12-week course and you just charge for it. I'm like, okay, that sounds good. So I put together a 12-week course. I called it the Iron Council, and I knew that we were going to do 6 topics every 2 weeks to cover the 12 weeks.
Yeah.
And I knew what the 6 topics were because I had done a YouTube video earlier on 10 things to be a man or something like that.
Yeah. Got it.
So I knew what they were going to be. And I had only put together the curriculum or the outline for one of them, the first one, not the rest of them. And then I just, you know me well enough now at this point, Kipp, just sent
Built it. Yeah.
Yep. And I had one assignment done. I'm like, because if nobody signs up, why build 6? Like, nobody might sign up. I'll just do the one and I don't have to waste any time. So I built this one assignment way before AI. So I actually built it, okay? It was my creation. And I put it out there. And I said, look, guys, we had 1,000 guys in our Facebook group. I said, look, guys, we're doing this thing. I have room for 12 guys. We sold it out overnight. Not Josh. I'm thinking about his son. Mark Gablowski is the first person to sign up. I only thought about his son because his son actually reached out to me over the weekend because he had some questions about life. I thought that was pretty cool, full circle, because Mark is the first person who joined the Iron Council. So we sold the 12 spots at $100. I made $1,200, not anything to write home about, but it opened my mind to the possibility of this actually being a viable business. And now we've had over 10,000 men go through the Iron Council. I had an idea of doing in-person events, book, courses, programs, coaching, affiliate marketing, and it all just kind of got pieced together over time. The interesting thing is I was doing this before everybody else was doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in the business at this point, in the business of podcasting for over 11 years, 10 doing Order of Man specifically. 10 years ago, people didn't know how to monetize their podcast. Some people had
Well, they weren't even listening to podcasts 10 years ago, not very many.
Because I would meet people and they're like, what do you do for work? I'm like, I have a podcast. They're like, what's that? You couldn't walk down the street without anybody not knowing what a podcast is, let alone not having their own podcast now.
Yeah.
So it's been a wild ride. But yeah.
I'm curious about something. So when you first opened up the 12-week Iron Council, were you like, I have to have all 12 seats filled, or would you have done it even if just 2 guys signed up?
I would have done it with 1 guy.
Yeah, just to get the rep,
always,
at least, worst
always.
Case. Yeah.
Well, not only just the rep, but I made a promise to that guy that I would put together this course.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's another example. We had a event go a little sideways earlier this year. I mean, we had keynote speakers drop out. We had business partners drop out. We had venue changes, ended up being more for certain things. And it went sideways quick.
Yeah.
And I sent an email. We had probably at the time 40 people signed up for it. And I sent out an email, and I could show you the email. And I said, look, guys, this event is going horribly wrong. We have had headliners drop out. We've had business partners drop out. We got to change the venue over here. If you want in, we'll put together as me and Larry Hagner with the Dad Edge. I said, if you want in, Larry and I are fully committed, and we'll have all of you. If you want out, you have 10 days to decide if you want out. Because the headliners aren't showing up, business partners. Yeah. Like, that's fair. That's a reasonable offer. And we did. We had guys bail. You know, we had, 10, 15 guys who were like, nah, I don't want to come anymore. No hard feelings. No hard feelings at all. Yeah. But in that email, I said this, and I'll never forget it because it's one of the most important things that we as men need to know and learn and implement. And I said, I don't care if one of you shows up. If everybody out of the, let's say 40 guys, if 39 of them request a refund, I'll pay them all back, 100% of their ticket price. And you and me, I'll buy a cabin somewhere outside of St. Louis, and you and I will do 3 days of one-to-one coaching, and we're going to have a kick-ass weekend. I'll do it with one. I don't care, because that's the promise that I made. I would lose money on that deal for sure, but I would honor it because that's what I think men do.
Yeah, love it. All right, John Frosty McDormand, what's the biggest hard-fought lesson you've learned recently that you think others could benefit from? Biggest hard-fought lesson you've learned recently?
How do I narrow it down to one? I've learned a lot about just being a man in a relationship. You know, I feel like I've got a lot of other things locked in. I feel like I do a lot of other things right, but man, I haven't been great in that department. And I could very easily just sit here and say I never had a great role model or example, and that's a reason, you know. And Kipp, you and I have talked about reasons and excuses in the past. A reason is legitimate. It's, hey, this was a reason, and therefore I have to change. An excuse is, this is why, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's the difference between a period at the end of the sentence and a comma. I dealt with this, comma, so I have to do that. I dealt with this, period. And so I didn't have a great example of what that looked like. And that in my later years, as I'm in my middle ages now, which is so weird to say, I had an optometrist appointment the other day. I'm like, why am I going to the optometrist? And the guy, the doctor told me it's because you're getting old. He literally said that, because you're getting old. I'm like, I'm not old. I'm 44 years old. And he said, yeah, you're middle-aged. You're a middle-aged man. And I'm like, well, how old are you? And he's like, I'm 30. I'm like, well, shut up then. Anyways, I think I've learned a lot about relationships and the way that I've showed up, and I've tried to eliminate the excuses and acknowledge the reasons. Yeah. And I think that if more men learned some of the hard lessons that I've learned, specifically through my divorce and breakdown of that relationship, I'm in a really great relationship now. And I'm excited about where that's headed and the growth that her and I have had. But I couldn't be in that if I didn't learn those hard-fought lessons of showing up, working as a partnership. I think, to be specific, and I'm going to avoid the V word of vulnerability, but I am learning to be, to our previous question, more open and honest with direction. And that's really important for men. Yeah. Like, I don't want to vomit all of my feelings. Yeah. But I can say, hey, I'm struggling with this thing, and therefore I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then when she sees me do this, this, and this, it doesn't undermine. I think the vulnerability conversation is one of like, well, just tell her how you feel. That doesn't do anything. It undermines credibility. And as I process this a little bit more, people get mad anytime I fight back on the word vulnerability because it's a bit of a sacred cow in culture today. the vulnerability is not the solution. It's not the end.
You don't get anywhere with it. Yeah.
It's the symptom. It's the symptom. Yeah. It's like you're feeling vulnerable because there's a weakness in your game. So of course you feel vulnerable. You should feel vulnerable. That's the symptom. That's not the answer. Okay, but people think it's the prescription. Like, we'll just be vulnerable. No. You already are vulnerable.
Yeah, because they're
your
outsourcing.
Job is to fix it.
Yeah, they're hoping that the being open and vulnerable outsources the resolve to someone else. It's a lack of taking ownership, right? If I'm vulnerable, I expose it to you, and then I sit back and, oh, Ryan's going to fix it for me now, right? It's like, no. That's not the intent, right?
Well, think about this. Let me give you an example. And this is a real world example. I see this every day from guys. Let's say that you lost your job for one reason or the other. Maybe it's now outsourced. Maybe AI took it over. Maybe it's obsolete. Maybe you just weren't doing a good job and it let you go. And you get behind 60 days on your mortgage payment. Are you feeling vulnerable? Yeah, I would think. And then you go to your wife. You've been hiding it. And you go to your wife and you say, hey, I need to talk with you about something. And I just need you to forgive me because I'm being vulnerable. I'm being open with you. I lost my job 60 days ago. And we're behind 60 days on the mortgage. But it's okay because I'm being vulnerable with you. And now you know the real me. What do you think she's going to say, oh, yeah, you're right, everything's good? No, she's going to say, how are we going to make the mortgage payment? Now, if you lost your job and you came home and you said, hon, bad news. Bad news. Brace yourself. Sit down. This is rough, but we're going to get through it. It's going to be okay. And you just sit down. And she sits down and you say, I lost my job today. I got laid off. I didn't even see it coming. But you know what? We got 6 months of savings in the bank. Okay, so we're covered. Maybe tighten up on the groceries a little. Maybe the discretionary spending. Let's rein that in a little bit. Mortgage is fine. We're good. This afternoon after I got laid off, I made 5 calls. I've got 2 interviews with some close people. Just because of some networking I've been doing. I've got 2 interviews tomorrow. And I just want you to know it's gonna be okay. I'm nervous. I'm very scared. I didn't see this coming. In fact, I feel a little bit blindsided. I feel like people at my work, they don't respect that's how I'm feeling. But it's okay. Because this is what we're gonna do to solve it. That's the proper way to approach vulnerability, but too often people don't do that. They just get into just love me. I'm being vulnerable. I'm being open. Like, why can't you just accept that? Because that doesn't pay the mortgage payment. Agree or disagree on that, Kipp?
Totally agree. I mean, you're not resolving anything. You're just hoping that someone's going to, it's okay, honey, I respect you, I'm not concerned. That's what they're hoping for, but the reality, that's not what's going to happen.
No, not at all.
You can wish for that all you want, but it's not going to happen that way.
So to go back to Frosty's question, Frosty's his nickname in the Iron Council. So to go back to Frosty's question, I'm learning how to do that correctly. Because before, I wouldn't even tell her. I would just fix shit.
Yeah, and not bring them along or let them know where you're at.
Do that. We do that because I think we do that for righteous, noble reasons. I don't want her to worry about it. I don't want her to worry about me. I don't want her to worry. I got it. I got this under control. And you might, but you know what? I'm figuring out she actually wants to be in it with you.
Yeah.
She's with you. She wants to be in it with you. She doesn't want to be with a bumbling buffoon. But she wants to be with a man who understands that there's problems in life, that he's not perfect, that he doesn't have everything figured out. But damn if he's not willing to create a solution and come up with opportunities for growth, even in the wake of things that go sideways.
Yeah, totally.
That's a hard thought lesson for me. Do you have one that stands out?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's the balance. Let me see if I can articulate this well. It's the balance between coaching and guiding and honoring choice. I feel confident around a number of items, like when it comes to coaching or parenting. And I'm tempted to believe that because I see the clear path, that not only absolute this person should do it, but worst case, I'll push them in that direction. And worst case, I look to, and I won't admit this, right? Like it's not clear to me, it's not the intent, but I'll look to coerce someone into taking action on that path and not honoring their own choice in it. And that's really rooted in the idea that like, that's where growth is actually in the ownership and the choice of the individual. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. We've done this with our 3 older kids when they're teenagers, and I'm seeing it even in the workplace where I can illuminate, I can present, and that's about it. And if Ryan is open to the idea to receive it and he's in the place where he sees the value, awesome. And if he doesn't, that's okay too. It just is, and it's a very, and we talk about it like it's not a new principle, right? We talk about tugboat versus the lighthouse, but it sure is hard, right? Not to have loaded expectations on the actions of other individuals and realize that your role is to illuminate and create possibilities for others to choose for themselves.
It's powerful. I actually have a couple questions for you. So I reached out to you last week about a pressing issue that I had, a personal issue that I had. And you gave me a set of 3 questions. And I like how you did that because you allowed me to come up with the answers to my own problem. And I did pretty quickly, actually, after you gave me those 3 questions.
I was going to ask you how it went.
It hasn't yet, but it will this week because that conversation is coming up. But I came up with the answer pretty quickly when you asked me those 3, or you gave me those 3 questions. Okay, so I have a couple questions for you. Okay. And I think these are questions that you might ask yourself. Okay, number 1, what are you making it mean about yourself when people make decisions counter to what you think they should do?
Yeah, totally. Well, it means my default.
Yeah. I want to know what you would your default.
Yeah, my default is that I'm not impactful enough in this person's life to be able to guide them. So I internalize it negative first with me, and then sometimes I'll make it about they're wrong and I'm right.
And what would like a more elevated, sophisticated answer to that question look like?
Just is.
Just is. Like, it is what it is?
Yeah. I mean, I like to challenge my own thought, right? Like, well, maybe I'm off. Maybe this isn't the ideal recommendation. But I also realize that based upon where they are, is it in alignment to where they are and what they need based upon where they are, right? We talked about this so many times. It's like, oh, what advice would you give yourself when you're 20 years old? It's like, dude, I wouldn't have listened to me at 20.
Totally.
Like, even if it's profound, I wouldn't have. Why? Because I wasn't in the right state of mind. You would have said some foo-foo-y weird thing, and I would have been like, that guy's an idiot. Doesn't mean the advice wasn't.
Say that, by the way.
Yeah. Doesn't mean the advice wasn't sound. You know what I mean? So are we even in the position to receive it?
Yeah. My next question is, how do you respond? We'll take 2 variations of this, but maybe the natural way. How do you respond when people don't do what you think is in their best interest? How would you have responded in the past?
Oh, in the past, moron.
Judgment.
Idiot. Judgment, yeah. Absolute judgment. Yeah.
What do you do now?
I think now's the same thing. Like I more and more, and this has been like a big lesson for me over the last couple of years, assume positive intent, right? Most people do not intentionally do bad at what they're trying to do. No one says, I want to be a bad spouse. No one says, oh, I'm going to show up and just be a horrible father today. No one shows up and says, I'm going to be a bad boss or a bad employee. Most don't. They're doing it for a number of factors. There's usually a number, and there's science around this, of what drives people to do what they do. I don't know what that is. So who am I to judge?
I like it. I mean, I've thought lately too is we do have to be very careful of judging motives. You know, when I post something on social media, maybe it's controversial, people will say, well, Ryan's only doing this because. You have no idea why I'm doing something. Totally. You might think you do, and you might actually be right in some cases, but it's just luck. Be very careful about judging people's motives. And I like what you're saying. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Unless, I would say there's a caveat to this, unless what they're doing is putting you at personal risk or people that you have responsibility for. Right?
You don't
if somebody comes and wants
doubt.
to like fight me, I'm not gonna like say, oh, you know, this guy's probably just having a hard day and I'm gonna let him punch me in the face a couple of times, maybe he'll feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you don't need to do that. Well, and what's great about this too, Ryan, is if you're in a position where you're leading, guess what you can't address? The issue. There's no addressing the issue in quick judgment. Because you're not addressing the root cause. You never will. Oh, this person, they're this. Oh, his intent is this. Okay, got it. So everything else is off the table. You've already decided. Or are you going to critically think and go, what's that rooted in?
Yeah.
Until you do that, you're not addressing shit. And most importantly, you're not taking ownership over the circumstance. You're just, I love this idea that like someone that judges and persecutes others, they're a victim in a position of authority. They're a victim. They're just in a position of authority, so they blame other people for it. That's it. Still a victim. You're not owning anything.
Yeah.
You're allocating ownership over to someone else.
Powerful stuff, man. We had some good questions today. Anything else? Do we have a rapid fire in there, or do we need to wrap it up for today?
I really wanted you to answer this question. So maybe this one really quick, if that's okay. Okay, Lonnie McIntyre. How do you maintain focus and stay on course when the shit hits the fan in multiple areas of life all at once? My tendency over the years has been to pull back and self-soothe with alcohol in times like this, but I know that's not the answer. So what advice would you give him? It's such a critical question, man.
It is. It's really important. I'm pulling up something real quick here because this is going to help, and then I'll paraphrase. So there's, I believe, is an Air Force, retired Air Force colonel named John Boyd. You guys might need to fact check me on that, but I believe that's who it is. Came up with a phrase called the OODA loop. It's an acronym, OODA, OODA loop. And the phrase is this: observe, orient, decide, act. So the first thing is that shit hit the fan. Observe. What exactly is happening around me? Is my wife upset? Is my boss upset? Do I have an upset client? Are my kids
Like
stuff
dealing
falling
reality
apart?
almost, right?
Like what's going on? Like, let's really figure this out. I've got this person attacking me here, and this person's upset, and that person's fired up, and we lost money here. Like, really observe. And then now we start to orient ourselves. And when I think of orient, what I think of doing in practical terms is to say, okay, I've got 7 things that need to get done right now. My wife's mad, my boss is mad, my client's upset, my bank account is in the red, and I've got these 7 things. I've already observed all that. I know very well what's going on in my life. And now I need to orient. And orient is about, when you think of orientation, think about a compass. Like, where do you point the compass? Like, I need to get to that point. Let me get my compass. I'm going to orient it north. Okay, I need to go 80 degrees this way. That's what we're talking about. So orient is, okay, my wife's mad. That's probably the first thing. Like what? Okay, she's mad because I'm working too many hours at work. Okay, let's address that. That's number 1. Number 2 is I feel like I'm working too many hours at work, but we got this big project and it's falling apart on us. So that's important. And so you start to prioritize the order in which you need to do things. It's kind of like the adage of how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time, but you need to figure out which is the first bite.
Which bite.
And so I would spend a little bit of time, not indefinitely, especially if you're an overthinker. Overthinkers are notorious for this. And they think they're doing something. It's like, congratulations, you're thinking about it. You're on step 2. There's 4 steps. Step 2 is crucial. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's a part of the process. It is not the process in and of itself. You're not solving problems by thinking about them. So orient, like, okay, I need to do this, then this, then this, then this. First thing I need to do, I need to call my wife. I need to put her at comfort. Hey, babe, I know I haven't been honest with you about what time I'm going to get home. We're going to talk more about this tonight. I cannot be home until 7 o'clock tonight, but I promise you I'm going to give you all day Saturday and we're going to do our thing. Okay, a little bit of fire put out. That was what needed to happen. Now you go to your boss. Hey, boss, look, business is under, project's falling apart. I get it. Here's what I think we should do. What do you think? Okay, now here's my list of things. And so you start to process in which order. Now you have a lot of things going on and you can start making decisions. And decisions are, where do I prioritize? What people do I need to have in place? I think a lot of that could be delegation. A lot of that could be explanation. Maybe your wife wants you to do all these projects around the house and you're like, hey, babe, I can't do that. I can only do 20% of those things for now. But next month, I can do another 20%. And so you start deciding in which order you're going to do it. And then the last is to act. You've got your process, you've got the priorities, you've made decisions, you've got the right people involved, you've looked at what resources need to happen, and now you're going to act on that. And then once you act, this is why it's called a loop, you act, and then you go right back. Did this work? Now we're back in observation. Did this work? What impact did it make with my family? What impact did it make with my business? What impact did it make with my health? And you go through the process again.
Yeah.
The OODA loop.
And I feel,
powerful.
Would you agree with this is like, one of the issues that people struggle with is in the orientation, they'll lock on to the unmet expectation of what should or should not be, and then they just get stuck. Well, I shouldn't have to deal with this. I shouldn't. And then they like almost like give up because I shouldn't have to. And they don't deal with but the reality is that you are. Here's the facts. This is what's within your realm of control. Deal in the reality of it. But almost people don't want to deal in reality. They want to hold on to their expectations, and then it almost like paralyzes them into taking action.
I think you're right that people will say that about, I shouldn't have to deal with this. And I agree with you that you have to deal in reality. But the question is that first statement even true?
Yeah.
You let down your wife, and you're telling me you shouldn't have to deal with an angry wife?
Yeah, totally.
You missed the deadline
You
missed the deadline at work, and you're saying to yourself, man, my boss shouldn't be mad at me. Like, he should just understand. What? You're the one that missed the deadline. He didn't miss the deadline. You did. You told him that you'd have him the project in 30 days. It's now 34 days. Why wouldn't he be upset with you?
Yeah.
I think just own everything and let's get the should've, like, he shouldn't be mad. Now, should he react like that? Should she react like that? Sure, that's subject to interpretation, but we can deal with that later.
Yeah, totally.
Because that's just something, the way you're responding, I might be able to solve that by actually solving the problem. And then we can talk about a better way to approach me in the future. But for now, I got fires and we got to put them out. And that's priority number one over how you, like, imagine this. Imagine you're in military, because this is John Boyd. He's an Air Force colonel. You're in the military, and you're taking enemy fire. And your command comes to you and says something horribly off color or something completely inappropriate or politically incorrect, but is giving you orders and he's calling you a retard or like something. Like he's doing something that he shouldn't be doing, but he's giving you orders. Is that what you're going to consume yourself with right now? You're being attacked. You're going to die. Maybe cover down like he's telling you to. Maybe figure out what needs to happen so you guys don't die first. And then we can backfill like, hey, maybe in the future you can communicate with me a little bit more effectively.
Way.
Yeah. Right.
That's funny. Totally.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think that's
Thanks
it.
for throwing that one in. I just felt like, man, Lonnie needs a solid, because that's a tough place to be, man. When you feel like, everything's all hitting you all at once, right? So absolutely.
I think
I did have one thought for him just really quick. Don't lose sight of the bigger picture. I hate the term why, but you could use that. What's your why? Like, you know, and all this stuff hitting the fan, just don't lose sight of how you show up and what ultimately truly matters. Otherwise, sometimes we have a tendency to lose sight of that. And you might spiral worse, right? You hitting the bottle and being a drunken moron around the fam's not going to help your ultimate why, which is probably to have strong connections with your wife and family, right? And so don't lose sight of the bigger picture.
I've been there, and look, I've literally been there where it's like things are overwhelming. A drink would be really nice right now, and it will. It actually will. That's the catch. Yeah. It will be really nice right now. But when you think about the way that you show up and the most this has been helpful for me as on my own journey with sobriety. When I think about the most productive times, when I think about the business or personal production, and I think about the relationships with the people I care about, and I think about when I have the most joy, maybe it's spending time with you and your family. I'm not drunk.
Yeah. You're
present. I'm not in the bottle. I'm present. I'm there. I'm available. I'm laughing. I'm clear-minded. I'm not stressed out about those things. But the lonely times, the isolated times, the times where I'm frustrated, the times where I'm confused, the times where I don't know what to do, where I'm inefficient, ineffective, losing confidence, guess when that exists? In drunkenness or a hangover. So pan out just a little bit. I know it'll feel really good right now. You're not going to feel better. You know you're not going to feel better in 2 hours, let alone 2 days or 2 weeks. There's a framing here that I think has been helpful for me when it comes to having so much coming at you at one point. You put them into 3 buckets. You have prioritize, you have delay, and you have eliminate. And you might even throw delegate in there as well. So prioritize, delay, or eliminate. The things that come to you, if it's a priority and needs to be taken care of right now, you can either do it yourself or you can delegate it to somebody else. But it needs to get done immediately.
It has to get done. Yeah.
It's got to get done. This has to be a priority. This is something we need to focus on. Delay is like, ooh, that's important. That is important. But it's not right now. Yeah. It will be in a week, 2 weeks. Like, I definitely need to do that. So that's a delay. And then an eliminate is that will never be important. It's not a priority. It feels like it is right now, but it's just not. And so you move that into the eliminate can. And all you deal with today is prioritization. And then delay is what you deal with next week or whenever it might be.
Yeah. And it's amazing how often when you do that, you just feel 100% better almost right away. It's weird. Like, I've done that many times where I feel overwhelmed. And once I went with, no, here's the top priority items, there's almost this weight off my shoulders the minute I do that. I'm like, okay, operate on this list. That's all that I can do. But it's when we try to do it all, right? That's when that overwhelm definitely, like, at least for me, cripples action.
Well, there's one other thing too here, and I agree with what you're saying, and that is the idea of not over-promising. Because as high-achieving men, people who want to be valuable, and everybody listening to this podcast does, is we have a tendency of over-promising. So, Kipp, maybe you come to me, and you're like, hey, Ryan, man, I could really help use your help at the lake this weekend with moving some stuff out there and winterizing the property, let's just say. Yeah. But I know this weekend, I already have plans. I've already made commitments. I've already, it's already booked. As a good man, I would be tempted to say, yes, Kipp, I would love to come help you. And you know what'll happen if I say yes? I'll get there late, and that'll bother you. I'll be unproductive, and that should bother you. I'll leave early, and that should bother you. And then everybody else I already made commitments to will also be bothered. So I'm not trading anything. Everybody's now bothered.
There's a price for it. Yeah.
Right.
Regardless, there's always a price. Yeah.
But if I said, hey, Kipp, you know what? I can't this weekend. I've got this, and this, and I've already made those commitments, and I will not have the time to do that. But you know what I will do? I will drive up Tuesday. I'll take off early. I'll drive up Tuesday afternoon, and I'll help you till about 9 if you just, if I can stay the night at the house, the property. And you could say, well, I won't be there Tuesday night. It's like, okay, we'll make a list of things that you don't have to do yourself that I could do without you there. That's fine. You don't need to be there for me to do certain things. I can do that for you. Like, not everything has to be done on their terms. You want my help. So I'm happy to help you, but it has to be on my terms because I already have other commitments. You're actually really good at this in a very small and simple way. If I text you, if I call you without you knowing, I very rarely get a hold of you. That doesn't bother me. I just know you're busy. Very rarely do I actually get a hold of you on an unsolicited phone call, but you're good about getting back and you're good about saying, hey, I can't talk. The other day when I called you, like, hey, I can't talk, but I'm free at 5. I called you at 5:30 or whatever it was. Yeah. And you were free. You were available, which means to me, you value what I'm doing because I know you're busy, but you're still squeezing in time for me. And you also value yourself.
That I was in. Yeah.
Right.
Like the other commitment I had when you first called. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, a lot of lessons to be extracted.
I love it, man. We need to wrap up quickly. We ran a little bit longer than normal, but maybe a couple call outs. divorcenotdeath.com.
Yes, sir.
To learn about that, to sign up, to get more information, that's divorcenotdeath.com. And then, as always, just connect with Ryan online, X and Instagram at Ryan Michler, and stay connected to the community. That's how this all started, right? The Order of Man community, in essence, right? Facebook.com/group/Order of Man. And stay connected with us.
That's it. Guys, I appreciate you. Great questions today. It's always fun when we have solid questions like this. It makes it more enjoyable for me and actually helps me because there's things that I plan for. There's things that I need to prep for, and I go back and I have notes. Kipp, I take notes on all of these, and I go back and review. I'm like, man, those were some good topics. Those are some good things for me to learn. So I appreciate everybody. But we'll be back on Friday. Until then, go out there, take action, and become the man you are meant to be.